Ladies and gentlemen,
the teller recognized him by the way that he walked.
please take your seats.
If you ever rob a bank, change your gait.
The show is about to begin.
This is a bunch of bullshit.
The bar is open. Welcome back. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's Big Teddy, Tidwell from the Teddy and Shiner Show, episode number 83. Coming back to knock your socks off, minus one guy who we let out of the barn and brought to the controls, but then started showing up late and some not showing up at all. So we had to put him back in the pen and take his underwear away for a little while. Mr. Donnie's back in the booth, and we are still social distancing. So my buddy across, well, I'd say like 10 or 11. There's got to be 10 or 11 ponds between us.
Gotta be. Good evening, everybody. My name is Shiner, and I'm going to be your co-pilot this evening as we get what is now the third year of quarantine life.
Indeed it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll pick up your card and follow along with me, we'll get over this quickly. Make sure that your seatbelt is fashioned. If you do not have good fashion on your seatbelts, we'll provide some stickers or beads or whatever you'd like to stick to that seatbelt so it does have good fashion. Yes.
Dazzler.
A bedazzler.
Keep your arms in the ride at all times.
Thank God NASCAR is back, even though it's on a limited basis. I am so friggin' happy that the first major sport that came back is NASCAR.
Was NASCAR.
Yeah.
I got a question about that.
Sure.
Like, that's a big statement right there. You said the first major sport that came back. UFC's been holding fights.
Yeah, they have.
Now, my deal with UFC is, I think it's hard on those fighters because you know how a crowd can turn a fight around.
Oh, yeah.
The crowd's energy, as fighter can soak that up, and that fight will turn around. So I think that's definitely affected some of the fights they've had. And I was like, well, when I was watching the race this past weekend, I'm like, well, there's a sport that it won't affect. And I started wondering, is that really true?
I think it still does to a smaller degree, but yeah. Once drivers get started, they're I mean, just like with anything else, you know, when you get started working, taking photos and you're working on a subject, you know, you see what's in your lens and you don't recognize that there's a big black Toyota pickup behind you.
Yeah.
You know, you kind
of get a version of tunnel vision.
Yeah. You get real focused on what you're doing. They do the same thing with cars. You know, they get super focused on what they do and, you know, and they don't really notice that the crowd's not there unless it's maybe a caution flag or the end of the race, especially. You know, if you know, Kyle Busch wins, you got half cheers, half booze.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And he feeds off the booze. You know?
Oh, for sure.
He wants the booze.
But, you know, after they win and they cut the tires loose and they're doing donuts, they're doing that for the crowd. And there has to be a huge part of that they like to hear the crowd cheer and scream and get excited, you know, when they're doing that in that car. And that's not there anymore. It's just yeah. I hate that, you know, we keep saying, is that the new normal? And I've got to where I really hate that phrase because there's nothing about this. I mean, I don't want that to be normal anymore.
Here's the funny thing is, I think we were one of the first people to start talking about the new normal.
I feel like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because very early on in this, we were discussing it. Like, look at all the changes that are happening. And I still think the most poignant thing that I've heard through this whole thing was the gentleman that I referred to last week at the barbershop, not even a barbershop, Great Clips.
Oh, you got a guy at Great Clips?
No, it was another customer. And he was the guy that was telling me, think about how out of place things were after 9/11, and now that is just very everyday normal to us. And I can't get that statement out of my head. I keep thinking, is that how all this shit?
Oh yeah. Go try and fly commercial and walk directly to the gate.
Mm-hmm. Or have your family walk you down there.
It don't happen, Pedro.
So, like, what are we doing now that's going to hang on that we're just going to do without even thinking about in 2 years? You know, I hope it's not a lot, but
no, but humans as a whole don't accept change very well.
No. Change is hard for everybody, I think.
It is. Anything that makes your life any more difficult than it has to be is an inconvenience. So change can be an inconvenience. Of course, it could be. It's an inconvenience at the time, But, later down the road, you might think, boy, that was a good change that we made.
Yeah.
Not a bad
yeah.
change, Again, let me just throw NASCAR right back in the fix. It wasn't until, I think, 2002 that they quit racing back to the yellow.
Yeah.
When the yellow flag was thrown, they raced back to the yellow flag before they slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the yellow's thrown, you slow down in place.
Yeah, they shut it. Yeah.
In change, I'll be like, God, I hated that. I couldn't stand that. And now you look back on it and you're like, why wasn't it this way all along?
All along, yeah.
Speed limits on pit road are, at the big places, 65 miles an hour at Talladega and Daytona. And 65 miles an hour is plenty fast to go through there. But they used to go through the pits with unlimited speed.
And some of the best crashes you'd see would be on pit road.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the best ones you would see them get locked up was on pit road.
I mean, if you ever saw the movie Days of Thunder, and it's early on in his career, I think it's probably his fourth race, maybe. He's coming into the pits and all that mess. He's starting to slow down. Somebody gets into his rear and gets him spun on pit road, and then he just slams into the wall. Well, when that movie was filmed in 1989, it was totally normal to run down pit road as fast as you possibly could.
Wide open.
Yeah. So, and he crashed into several cars. So, and I've seen that in real life.
Yeah, I was going to say that was taken from real life instances.
Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah. So,
God, what a great movie, dude. What a great movie. Racing.
I was totally cool with it until all those damn freaking flowers showed up in her apartment. And then I was like, damn it, we've lost him. We've lost Cole. Cole Trickle ain't the same guy anymore.
No, Cole bitched up.
Mm-hmm.
Cole bitched up on us. What's up, Cole?
Now he's just coleslaw. That's all.
What happened to you, Cole? I kind of wish they would remake that movie with some of the abilities they have now. Remake
that movie with all the rookies in NASCAR this year, with the exception of one, which would be who's the one out there who's probably the dare I say it, probably Logano. Yeah, you got that one seasoned veteran out there that's not afraid to put you in a wall. That was Dale Earnhardt's character 100% in that movie.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure.
He was rowdy.
You said the name, and I have a knee-jerk reaction. Fuck Logano, man.
Yeah.
I hate that guy. He can't. It's like we talked this weekend, though. He can wheel a car, dude. He can wheel a car.
I don't like the rest of them.
I'm undeniable. He's got talent behind the wheel. Like I'll give you. I gotta respect that, but I don't like him as a person.
I can't stand you, Logano.
Awake at night.
If you listen to the podcast, Joey Logano, congratulations on your new birth of your new baby. We can't stand you, but cool that your wife brought another Logano into the world. So
another human being.
Yeah, maybe they'll turn out different than you.
Because we do not like you.
No, not at all.
Your wife has got a deep-seated hatred for Logano as well. Like,
oh yeah.
Gizmo does not like her some Logano, man.
Oh yeah, with us, you and the nurse and Shandy and I and a fifth guy go out and schedule a offshore fishing display for the day. And then 4 come back. 5 go out and 4 come back. The fifth one that went out was
Joey.
We worked so long being fake Logano fan club members, and we finally won his attention enough to be able to take him out fishing.
That's a good movie right there. We should make that movie.
Man, I tell you what, there's an old NASCAR driver, and I'm trying to think of his name. And Donnie,
it's so anticlimactic when you do this.
Like, I know. Yeah. God dang it. I hate this. Hang on.
You're always going to tell a badass story and then you don't even know the main character in it.
Can't remember his freaking name. It's going to drive me nuts. I can tell you the story without his name. So he's a NASCAR driver back in the late 70s and early 80s. And back in the early 80s, man, all of a sudden, the guy started showing up at the track. He paid for his own cars. He bought his own car. he was his own NASCAR
The
team.
driver did?
Every once in a while he'd drive for somebody else. For the most part, he drove for himself. And all of a sudden, he started showing up to the track with nicer and nicer cars, and then nicer and nicer equipment. And then he shows up and at the track, and he's like one of the first people that has a stacker trailer, where the cars go up top. And anyways, everybody's like, "Golly, man, your car nice! Wow, this is a nice looking car." Or this, your rig looks fantastic. His last name is Ballou. I think it's Baleu is the spelling. I think it's Gary Ballou. And anyhow, yeah. Turns out Gary at night would take his offshore power boat, drive it out, 60 miles off the coast.
I already know where you're going.
Yeah. He would meet up with another boat and then bring that really heavy power boat back in and unload these bags and bags and bags and bags of white stuff.
Gary Ballou was trafficking cocaine to fund his NASCAR
Gary
career?
Ballou was trafficking cocaine to fund his NASCAR career. He's got a book out. It is a freaking fantastic read.
That's awesome,
Because-
man. Did he ever get caught?
Oh, yeah. Not only did he get caught once, he got caught twice.
Oh, shit.
He got caught once, went to prison, not for very long because he made a deal.
Yeah.
He didn't turn
But
in.
he did.
He didn't turn in anybody above him. The only deal that he made was he would know when the next shipment was coming in, kind of thing. And sometimes they come. Sometimes they have somebody important on the boat that he intercepts, and sometimes it's just somebody else.
Bullshit, yeah.
Yeah. So they go to the meeting place, and all of a sudden helicopters show up, and blah 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 blah, out in the middle of the get all these drugs, right?
Shooting those outboards with a 50 cal.
Sure. And why not? It makes the story better. But they send him to prison, but I think he got a year, something like that, if I remember right.
Oh my God, that's a hell of a deal.
Oh yeah. And then so he comes back and he's living straight for a little bit. Now here's the funny part. You know what prison they had him in?
Mm-mm.
It was in federal prison,
Well, yeah.
Talladega, Alabama. Shit you not. The prison is not very far from the racetrack, and so he can hear through the bars outside the races going on. So for
that'd be torture on a
it
driver,
was
dude.
absolute torture on the dude.
That's Guantanamo Bay shit. That's
Yeah.
psychological shit right there.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's in that prison for a little bit and he gets out and living his life right for a little bit. He's missing racing and he's trying to make an effort to get back in it, but he can't. At this point now, he can't afford to go buy a plain chassis off somebody and start.
It's
Hanging
time
a
to
body,
traffic some
so-
more cocaine.
He calls up a couple friends. He says, "All right," and he does it again. Well, this time he went away for 5, but he actually did, and then came back and figured out, okay, my jig is up.
Which apparently 3 years was enough time to write a good book. I mean,
Yeah, he wrote a good book, but he did make it back in NASCAR for just a little bit after the second
it's kind
time.
of a poetic story, man.
There's some really cool stories about racing. That's one of the best crew chiefs out there in NASCAR back in the 60s and 70s, early 80s. Was a guy they called Suitcase Jake. He was a brilliant crew chief. He would come up with stuff in the gray area that would, get you 5 more horsepower than anybody else. Or, he'd figure out a way you could carry an extra gallon and a half of gas in your car. He was the guy that figured all that crap out. But if he got mad at you or he got mad about something, usually he'd just pick up his damn suitcase and just walk home. He never really had a home
Had enough
anywhere.
of this shit.
Yeah, he was never at any team, even a full season. But he would take But the funny part is he would come in, turn a team completely around, get them winning, and then he gets pissed off about something, and then he walks on and does it again. It's like he's starting over every single time.
Yeah, he's like, I'm out. I'm bouncing.
Yeah,
I don't need this shit.
You get to a point to where you're like, okay, I know he's going to leave us, but we really need to get turned around, so But you don't want to be like, okay, we're looking for our next big crew chief to stay forever.